beneath the earth, thousands of ancient bodies remain intact, defying the natural laws of decay. These meticulously preserved remains are the result of humanity's earliest, most desperate engineering project, a calculated attempt to cheat death. To understand why they did this, we have to look at the ancient Egyptian worldview. They believed a person's soul was divided into two distinct parts, the Ka, or life force, and the Ba, the unique personality. When a person died, these spiritual elements left the physical shell. But there was a fatal vulnerability in this system. For the soul to survive and thrive in the afterlife, it had to return to its physical vessel. The body acted as an anchor. If that anchor deteriorated, the tether was broken, and the soul would be lost forever. That poses a massive problem, because biology dictates that all living tissue eventually rots. Without intervention, bacteria and enzymes rapidly break down a corpse, destroying the exact vessel the soul relies on for its eternal existence. Preserving the body became an urgent necessity, forcing them to find a way to manipulate the very chemistry of decay. The solution actually began as an environmental accident. Long before grand tombs were constructed, early Egyptians buried their dead directly in the hot desert sand. The arid climate and the sand's natural ability to rapidly absorb moisture dehydrated the bodies, preserving them naturally. Observing this desiccation, ancient practitioners realized they could control the outcome. They transitioned from relying on accidental natural phenomena to developing a highly intentional, systematic surgical procedure. The first step was removing the internal organs most prone to rot. Using specialized tools, they carefully extracted the lungs, liver, stomach, and intestines. These moisture-rich tissues were treated separately and stored in 4 specific canopic jars to halt internal decomposition. The heart, however, was deliberately left inside the chest cavity. They believed this specific muscle contained a person's intelligence and morality, and it needed to stay in place to be judged on the scales of justice in the afterlife. With the most vulnerable organs gone, they introduced their primary chemical agent, natron. This naturally occurring salt mixture was packed in and around the body for 40 days. It acted as an aggressive desiccant, pulling all remaining moisture out of the tissue to completely halt cellular breakdown. Once the tissue was totally dried and treated with fragrant oils, the final step was architectural. They tightly wound up to 300 meters of sacred linen around the body, creating a physical barrier to block out atmospheric moisture. This sequential combination of surgical extraction and chemical desiccation functioned as a reproducible protocol, one that effectively halted the biological processes of the human body. Over time, this practice expanded far beyond the ruling elite. Ordinary citizens invested heavily to secure their own preservation. They even applied these exact techniques to millions of animals, like cats, birds, and crocodiles, believing them to be divine representatives. But the drive to preserve the dead extends far beyond the Nile. In South America, the Chinchorro people were artificially mummifying their dead thousands of years before the first pharaohs, while the Inca preserved bodies in the freezing, low-oxygen conditions of the Andes. Even in Northern Europe, the unique environmental chemistry of peat bogs turned bodies into leathery artifacts, perfectly maintaining facial expressions for millennia. From the burning sands of Egypt to the frozen peaks of Peru, these distinct, unconnected cultures arrived at similar solutions. It points to a deep, universal psychological need to conquer mortality and leave a permanent mark on the physical world. Eventually, as global religious beliefs shifted toward terrestrial burial, particularly with the spread of Christianity and Islam, the theological need to maintain an intact physical vessel faded. The elaborate chemical workshops closed, and the ancient engineering fell into obsolescence. These bodies lay dormant until the 19th and 20th centuries, when a wave of archaeological excavations began unearthing them. The 1922 discovery of King Tutankhamun's intact tomb reignited a global fascination with the surviving physical artifacts. Early explorers often unrolled and destroyed these bodies, looking for amulets. Today, researchers treat them as invaluable medical subjects, using non-invasive tools like CT scanners to peer through linen without moving a single bandage. These scans and DNA samples provide granular biological data, identifying ancient pathogens, specific diets, and genetic lineages. By halting decay, ancient practitioners managed to send a wealth of physical evidence across time. They built these bodies to survive forever, and today, sitting in modern laboratories and yielding insights into human history we couldn't capture any other way, they have finally achieved a kind of immortality.